Groove City.
Hey, what's up? I'm Lefty.
And I'm Rich Furniss, and welcome to another episode of Groove City.
That's right. We have a very special guest in the house today. Born and raised New Yorker, a mom, yoga instructor, and a fantastic DJ with a great history of music releases, and we're excited to hear all about it. Make some noise for Gina Turner.
What's
DJ
that?
Gina Turner.
That's
After
me.
the whole thing, I just messed that up.
I'm Gina Turner.
You are Gina Turner,
Yeah.
the real Gina
it's
Turner.
It's actually my real name, by the way.
Oh, nice.
I was named
not
after...
a Tina Turner reference.
Yeah, not a Tina Turner
Wow.
reference, but I am a Turner.
Oh, there
of
you
the
go.
tables.
A turntable
Let's go.
Turner.
Yeah, so
but
shout
your
out-
parents are Tina Turner fans.
So I, you know, it's my grandmother's name was Gina Turner, so I'm named after her.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
you lucked out with that one.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Incredible. Well,
I'm
thank you so
so
much for
happy to be
joining
here.
us.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you coming by.
Yeah, I had a nice break from my mom life, so this is really, and I'm surrounded by all this gear. I'm like, this is the best.
Oh, yeah. Excited to hear
It's a
about
zen
it.
place.
Yes.
I'm sure that was a big change for you in your music career.
Yeah.
Things that we can definitely dive into. But
Yeah.
let's kind of reel it back a little bit because you've got a lot of history. I've been looking up all these things. You have so many releases with a lot of great collabs and cool labels and everything. Let's bring it back to the beginning. I mean, when did you kind of get started and what got you inspired? You know, what were you into beforehand? Maybe you
Yeah.
can cover a little bit of that.
This is awesome. My origin story. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
this is real talk.
Yeah.
I was, a little girl born and raised in New York, the suburbs of New York City. My whole family's from the Bronx, though, so I have to
Nice.
give a shout out to the BX. And I would listen to, Hot 97, and I would take blank cassettes.
Yes.
And I would make my own. And this, I'm not kidding. I was like 4 or 5, and
Like
I would
radio style mixtapes.
radio style
Yeah.
mixtapes
Yeah.
with a microphone. And for Mother's Day, I gave my mom a whole like hour-long mixtape with me introducing songs. So
Yeah.
that was my origins too, no lie.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I'll send you guys the picture afterwards, but like you could see my handwriting. I'm like 4 years old doing this.
Nice.
And so I've always had a passion for radio. I am like a radio girl, like in my bones. Like that's always what I wanted to do. But I was really into alternative rock and obviously hip hop, but I really wanted to be like a rock chick. I wanted to be on K-Rock. You know what I mean? Like that was
What
my
year
goal.
was this around?
So I was born in 1984. I'm turning 40 in 2 days.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Happy early birthday.
So yes, thank you so much for having me. But yeah, and so like I was like super into like, man, Pearl Jam, Incubus, like all of the rock greats.
Yeah.
I got to give a shout out to Incubus because I've seen them like a million times in concert, and I'm seeing them again in MHD. They're like my
Yeah. I
number
hear they're
one.
incredible
They're
live.
my number one. Yeah.
Signature snare sound, that high pingy
Yeah.
Incubus snare.
Yeah,
I
and
remember
also
hearing that.
I love that they change time signatures a lot.
Oh, interesting.
Which is always fun. And there's always like a drum and bass element with their drum style. Like
Definitely.
there's the amen break in a lot of their
Musicians
tracks.
always loved Incubus because they were pretty technical, I think.
Yes,
for that. It was
yes.
the vocals that I never got into personally, but all the musicians, I just wasn't a fan. I was in a very different
had a
stuff.
point there,
have a
Lefty.
DJ. They
I
have a DJ in their
know,
band.
I know.
Oh,
That
so
was a big
listen.
trend at the time, the
Yes,
DJs in
so
the bands.
listen to Science, their album Science.
Okay.
Their DJ, it's not Kilmore who is their DJ now, but oh my God, some of the cuts in there are like just like unbelievable turntablism. Like,
Nice.
and then DJ Kilmore is like insane.
I'll be honest, I never gave him a fair chance because I
Oh.
was just into very different music at the
Yes.
time. And Incubus was like too mainstream for me. and
Right.
The whole like
They got hits, Lefty.
rap
They got hits,
crossover
man.
They
thing.
do got hits.
The
Yeah, I
B-sides
know.
are even better.
I hated hits at the time. I was not a hits guy at the
Yeah.
time. That's what happened to me.
So anyway, so here I am wanting to be like a rock chick, like disc jockey, like
Yeah.
full blown radio. I fast forward a lot. I inherited all of my mom and dad's disco vinyl.
Sick.
So I have like amazing, like my mom would buy. Shout out to my mom. My mom would buy like 2 Diana Ross records at a time. So she would have one on ice sealed and then one she would play.
Smart woman. I
Like
like her.
shout out to DJ AM.
Damn, new old stock.
I love that.
That's what I'm
Amazing.
saying. And so I have like all these Earth, Wind and Fire. I have Sugar Hill Gang. I have like all of these OG records. So
epic.
I inherited all this disco vinyl. So what? Cool, awesome, whatever. As I'm gearing up to, make my move to like choose a college. Obviously, this is high school, Gina.
Yeah.
Like I'm like 14 at this moment. I start going to Sound Factory with a fake ID. I go to Shelter with a fake ID. So I start getting really into house music. So simultaneously, as I have all of this disco vinyl,
Kind of perfect timing right there.
on ice, yeah. I am going to a local record store near me. I think it was called Metro DJs. Don't quote me on that. I don't think it's open anymore. And I was buying all this tech house and like it was like progressive house called at the time, like Peace Division, like tribal, like Danny Tenaglia, kind of like that kind of stuff. Because I'm going to Sound Factory and Shelter, so I'm really getting into house.
There,
and at that time, you needed to buy those records on vinyl. You know what I mean?
Like
that's
there's no other way to get them.
Yes. So here I am doing that, and you know, I'm choosing a college. I know I want to do radio, but I never want to be like a DJ in a nightclub. That was never the goal. I just always loved house music.
Yeah.
And so I go to Emerson College. I studied audio radio, so audio production, radio broadcasting, dance minor. Got to give that little slide in there, and I'm given this radio show, and Emerson's like ethos is hands-on. So you want to be a radio person, here's the radio studio, go make it.
Yeah.
You learn how to produce your IDs, you learn how to produce radio, you do everything. Everything is just, so I'm thrust here, and the music that I have is house music.
Yeah.
So I am on, the radio. I would have an overnight shift at first from 3 to 5 a.m. playing like obscure house records and then like freestyle records because I love that.
Oh, yeah.
And
late 90s, early 2000s era, I feel like is where we're talking.
Exactly. So like that's what I had,
There was also a big kind of thing, like obviously rock music was kind of getting put in the forefront of stuff at that time on the radio especially. But there was also like the crossover into dance and club culture for sure was happening, even with bands. And this is kind of what I think spawned like the whole Bloghouse era movement that came like 5-6 years later.
Absolutely, yes.
But like rock music was huge on the radio, but like I was playing in rock bands at the time, but like I was also going to nightclubs and loved all of that. And sometimes it would cross over musically, but sometimes it would be just like the full different thing. But nobody cared. Everyone was really open to all of it.
So that's a really good point. So here I am like wanting to do K-Rock. I'm moving to LA. I'm going to work for K-Rock afterwards. Like this is what I'm doing. And then I was in this little, not a little radio studio. WERS in Boston is like a really well listened to radio station through all of Boston and New England because the music was so good. It's a college radio station, but it was really big. And so I'm doing all this house stuff on the side. And then I remember someone asked me to like DJ their birthday party. And I was like, what? And I was a junior or a senior in college. And I'm like, I'm not seen when I DJ. I'm in a studio. Like this is not what I do. Yeah. And the rest was history. I moved to LA.
I was going to ask about that because I know I read somewhere that you did live in LA for a while, and I was like, New York, born and raised. You're here now. At which point did you go over there?
So
why?
It was right as I was graduating college. So that was like 2007, 2008. Okay. And I moved to LA. I had a really great internship. Shout out to Joe Vinyl and Christian Wheel.
Where was that at?
It was at KBIG. It was a Clear Channel station, and it was great. But simultaneously, what was happening? So I was this intern. I was on air. It was amazing. I had a nickname and everything, but it was like top 40 dance, meaning like kind of geared towards middle-aged women. So like think Madonna, think like, like that kind of vibe, like freestyle, like a KTU kind of deal. Yeah. But anyway, and so as that's happening, there is a boom going on, like an underground boom in nightlife in LA. I was lucky enough to be kind of like taken under the wing of like DJ AM and
You're talking like Cinespace
and Steve
DJ
Aoki.
AM?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
So here I was. My boyfriend at the time was the resident DJ at Cinespace on Tuesdays with Steve, and I would play like once a month. You know,
That was like a super epic party. Like
that was the beginning of it. It was
peak era night swim.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and
used
then
to
there
love
was
all those
also
parties.
Banana Split happened,
Yeah.
and so I would DJ at Banana Split, and I was also simultaneously the assistant manager of Turntable Lab in LA.
Oh,
sick.
So
nice.
I was literally like at the forefront of like DJ culture on both sides in LA,
Yeah.
like the people buying vinyl and gear on Fairfax in LA, working there, and then I was every Tuesday and Sunday. It was like Cinespace and Banana Split Sundays with AM and Steve and Mike B.
Oh yeah, the Mike
The
B.
Mike B.
Legend.
So I remember my parents being like, "Wait a minute, so you're gonna not focus on radio and you're just gonna be a nightclub DJ?" And I'm like, "Trust me, this is working." And then it was like a full. I'm really leaving out a lot, but like I was really getting awesome opportunities through Steve and AM and all those dudes. But I was always kind of like the house chick, where everyone's playing like the electro clash and the Justice and all the Ed Banger stuff. I'm playing more the house records that So I was a great opener.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I was not playing anything that these people were playing, and so then all of this is happening. My DJ career really starts to take off. I'm playing back to back with someone named Louisa. We had a DJ duo called Staccato. That's blowing up. And then it came for full circle because then I was offered shows on Sirius XM and like iHeart Radio and then like Scion Radio. And I was like, see, I am using my radio degree, Mom
There you
and Dad.
go.
So that's my big origin story.
That's
Nice.
wild.
Yeah, that is wild. And then when did you come back to New York?
Great question. So and this shout out to Louisa, we came back to New York. Oh my goodness. I don't know the full timeline, but I lived in LA for like 6 or 7 years.
You were
And
like 14, 15.
2014, no,
There you go.
2012, maybe, I don't know. And we drove my Mini Cooper across the country.
Oh wow.
Which was amazing because we strategically got gigs in all these cities.
Yeah.
So we
Nice.
got paid
The whole way.
the whole way. We had
Nice.
hotels. It was amazing.
That's
and
smart.
so I did this full cross-country tour. This was funny, starting in San Francisco. So we drove from LA to San Francisco and then drove down to El Paso and like went across the country just getting gigs wherever we could. And it was amazing. And then, 2000, I don't remember when my first release was, but I made a record with my then boyfriend or
Partner?
partner.
Fiance? I mean,
Shout out to Laid Back Luke. Like we made a record together called Boricua on Sound Pellegrino, and we had like our little duo. Because before that, I was always like the vocal feature on tracks, and
Right.
that's when things started to really take off. It's like when I started to like really put my production skills to the test. Like, I was, knew pro tools like the back of my hand, but I was like, okay, now I need to learn like how to
Putting it
produce
together,
and
yeah.
like, so I'm on Ableton though.
shout out to Luke. My first 2 releases were on Mix Mash, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
I had a remix and then an original.
Same. I think I have like an edit as on Mix Mash, and then I have like a little EP on Mix Mash. So
Nice.
that's fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, so he's the father of my first daughter. So that's like that was that whole era, and that really helped me like fine tune my production skills and
Sweet.
really focus on releasing music because I was like, this is what's important, So
Awesome.
Do you think it was just like the logical next step to start making records after DJing so much and doing the radio?
Yeah, it felt right
Yeah.
because at that time, this was like the pre-social media era. I mean, we had
God
MySpace,
bless
we
it.
had Facebook, but it was really like that was the way you put yourself on the map.
Oh, all those SoundCloud
Hype
records.
Machine.
Yeah.
Oh
Machine
man,
was
Hype
big.
Machine was my favorite, man. I used to love that
RIP. It's
stuff.
still
Yes.
around, I think. It
It
just
is,
doesn't
but it
matter. It doesn't have the
doesn't
weight that it used to
really-
have.
Yeah. So that was a really important next step. And I feel like more recently now I've really found my pocket. Like I've always, and I really attribute this to DJ AM. And also shout out to my past being a party motivator at bar mitzvahs. So like I listened to that kind of DJing. I really like what I attribute to that is the fact that I genre jump a lot.
Right.
So although I'm releasing like house and tech house, I'm going to play a hip hop record every once in a while. I'm going to play a drum and bass record. You know what I mean?
I feel like though even your productions in house music kind of have a lot of different flavors.
Definitely.
And rhythms.
Agreed.
It's not just like 4 on the floor the whole time.
Yes.
Like
You can
definitely
feel
tap-
the influences from all the different genres.
It was cool.
Guys.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
cool stuff that you
Yeah.
have out there.
I appreciate that. Yeah. And I really think that's because I was like, you know, when I was like 18 to like 20 something, I was working at bar mitzvahs, like getting people dancing. So I'm listening to the way these DJs, you know, will do quick cuts and like genre jump because you have to at a bar mitzvah. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And then of course, like one of AM's like famous slogans, he's like, I could turn a rave into a bar mitzvah in like 2 seconds because he was really good.
Yeah, you
at,
just
like,
got to play Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, I got a
feel-
feeling.
That's it.
Mazel
Number one hit.
tov.
Still going off.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, when you were doing your radio shows and starting to put out music, were you restrained at all from promoting yourself on your programming?
So that was a very interesting thing. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
in my you know LA days when I was the intern, I was like, wait, I just was playing all the music that I wanted to play, and I was thrust into a situation where I was being told what to
Programmed.
play. Yeah. And so, but when I was on Sirius, I really had a cool opportunity there. So they gave me, you know, a show on BPM, which was me being an announcer, and
Nice.
like, this is what you need to play. And I was like, can I just sneak my new record that I just released
Yeah,
on
right?
this? And they, of course, they always said yes. Like,
dope.
I
Sweet.
followed it like to a T.
Follow the
But
script.
then they also gave me a mix show, so I had the best of both worlds.
Oh, that's dope. So you
And that
wanna
was
do
on
both.
that was on Electric Area, which is now like Diplo's Revolution or something like
Oh,
that.
yeah, nice.
But truly, I miss radio. I produce podcasts now, but it's just not the same. It's
Yeah.
not the same.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what radio is really popping off. I guess Diplo's Revolution is probably like the biggest
Yeah.
thing happening for like DJ culture and
DJ
house music.
culture,
and-
and you know, I'm gonna say it. He has it's a controversial like name to bring up, but like I feel like Joe Rogan is like one of the greats in terms of like radio announcers. Like he is amazing. The way the questions he asks.
He's
you
a
know,
great
all-
interviewer.
He's a great interviewer. I feel like he's keeping the spirit of radio alive in a really cool way. Now, does he exercise his power in the best ways? I don't know about that.
Right.
determined.
I think he's just been really good at like getting interesting guests
Yes.
and then asking like layman questions, you know, and being like,
Yes.
hey, like I don't have an educated, you know, I don't have education on the topic, but like I can just ask the questions that anybody else would ask, and then that's
Yes.
what the listeners want to hear because they're thinking the
Facts.
same questions. So.
Totally. I think he's a really good listener, and he unpacks things with guests like where I'm like, oh man, this guy's really good.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I just can't sit through the 20 minutes of him running ads at the beginning of his radio show.
facts.
It's like, this is brought to you by, I'm like, oh.
How many times are you going to hear the thing?
There's
for?
been a couple guests he's brought on. I'm like, all right, I'm not like a huge fan, but like I'll check it out, and
Yeah.
you know, but anyway.
Anyway,
that's
back to
neither here nor
music.
there. So it sounds like you kind of had like ease into the production side, but you've been able to put out a ton of music now. It seems a lot of cool
Yeah.
collabs. I saw Nervous, Tony Quattro collabs, a lot of cool things.
Yes, that's a total
how did
New
that
York
all come
record.
about? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's funny. Okay, so fast forward, it is 2013. I'm pregnant with my first daughter, Evelina, and I swear I don't know what that was like 11 years ago. Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
crazy. I thought I was never going to DJ again once I became a mom. Like I was like, that's it. My career's done. Like, but what was happening, I was like, before the baby comes, I got to make as much music as possible. So I made that record while I was pregnant with Evelina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we made like 3 records together, and I just was constantly putting things out because I was totally afraid. I was like, and then the baby came, and no joke, that was the busiest year of my life DJ wise. I was
Wow.
like booked everywhere. I DJ'd
wow.
MetLife Stadium for EDC New York.
Whoa.
Like 3 months after I had the baby, I was in Ultra for Japan. I was in Japan for Ultra. You know, I was just so busy, but it was because I was out of fear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just releasing
That's kind of amazing.
so much. Yeah.
And also when you're playing locally, you can like get home in time just to feed your baby again and, and do all that.
That's literally the best. I love playing. I was a Pasha resident at that time.
nice.
So I was playing, you know, I was primarily the closer
Yeah.
at Pasha, New York, which is a full circle moment for me because I was going to Sound Factory. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what that was. So it was great. I was like, hey, I'm up nursing the baby all night anyway. I'm on a lack of sleep. let me go DJ from like 3 to 5 and then get home before she wakes up. It's like the best.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But,
saying.
yeah.
It kind of works out.
Yeah.
Nice. And then so now current day, you have another child.
Yes.
And you knew how to handle that already from the first one. Has
Yes.
that really impaired your production or gigging abilities?
So because I was so focused on creating music when I was pregnant with my first daughter, with my second daughter, I was really like, okay, no, I'm going to take it easy. You know what I mean? I released like one track. Like, she was born in November of 2022. She was conceived at a festival. Shout out to Dirty Bird Campin', though. I will say that she was conceived at a festival.
Oh my God.
So
That's good.
it was like that, and it was a major festival. I actually got to play before DJ Premier,
Oh, nice.
sick.
which was absolutely insane for me. I'm like, wait, I get to play whatever I want before DJ Premier.
That's
I like
fire.
closed with like Shook Ones by Mobb Deep. I was
Yes.
I was like, this has to happen.
Nice.
But anyway, when I was pregnant with her, I really was like, I'm going to enjoy being pregnant. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be so hyper focused on
Stressed out.
on
and-
I'm
creating.
sure too, you'd already done it. Now you didn't necessarily have that fear, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I'm going to pick this back up.
But what was interesting about that is now that, you know, she's almost 2, she's going to be turning 2 in November. Like, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, it's like I'm starting over. Because I took so much time off, and I'm like, wow, the game has changed. Like, of course I DJ'd, but it was like sporadically, and you know, I wasn't so concerned about making music. So I made a commitment to myself. I think it was the beginning of this year. Starting in April, I released a track a month, sometimes 2 tracks in 1 month.
go.
Like
Nice.
this month, this Friday, I have a track coming out called MBA, and it's my first drum and bass record that I'm releasing.
Oh,
so that's a
sweet.
really big deal for me because
Yeah.
I've always loved drum and bass. I've always played drum and bass, but I've never made it. And I feel like I found my way in drum and bass where I am like, I can't explain it. There's something magical that's happening where I'm like, oh wow, this
is
is
it.
Can we
is
expect
it.
some more drum and bass records
Oh
then?
hell yeah! So actually, let me back up. I released 2 drum and bass bootlegs. They're available on Bandcamp.
There you go.
I did a Chapel Roan drum and bass edit, and I did a James Blake drum and bass edit.
that's cool.
Both available on Bandcamp. But my first original is coming out this Friday, and I'm definitely going to be releasing a lot more. But then, as I'm saying that, the track that I have coming out at the end of August is total tech house. But it's a collab with Steve Darko, who is amazing. I like sonically, the way he masters records, the way he produces records. Chef's kiss.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So now you've, re-emerged into the world.
Yes.
And you've got your hands in a few different pots. Let's talk a little bit about the yoga stuff you got going on.
Yeah. So that's actually cross-pollinated a lot. So in 2012, I had a crazy neck injury. It's going to sound so glamorous, but it's really not that glamorous. I was diving into a pool in Ibiza, and I torpedoed to the bottom of the pool and like really messed up my neck. And basically all the doctors that I saw were like, what saved your life was the fact that you were doing yoga right before this. So
Oh, wow.
in 2012, I was like, that's it. I'm becoming a yoga instructor. Like, I
What
love
was the
this.
injury you had, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, it was a neck injury,
It's just like a...
a subluxation.
Okay.
But people that I could have been paralyzed. Like could have been much worse. So long and short, I was like, that's it. I'm devoting my life to yoga. This is an amazing like supplemental thing for my life, but it actually just saved my life. And the first yoga class that I taught was like for 75 people
Wow.
on Holy Ship.
Oh, that's dope.
nice.
So I was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So a lot of the times I get booked on a festival, I also get booked to do yoga and meditation. So that's
sick. So
really
kinda
cool.
crawl-
Yeah, I saw you were doing
The
the
worlds
meditation
connect.
stuff too.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
like I'm playing a festival in California in October, Off the Grid Festival, and I'm doing like an opening meditation at the fest. Like it's
That's
really
sick.
cool. I've gotten to teach yoga on like a massive scale because of my DJ career. So it's
Amazing.
been
I think you see that too a lot more on the festivals. There's a lot of most of the festivals you see now will have a yoga,
Yes.
they will have a guided meditation,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's kind of cool seeing those two worlds connect because it's like the energy of a festival, but also you need the reset, you need the balance between the two.
absolutely. And sometimes you need to kind of like freak out for a little bit on your own.
Yeah, it's healthy for real though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you curate the playlist for your yoga sessions?
Yes. I'm gonna give shout outs to some of the artists that I put on.
I was gonna say I want to know what's on this playlist.
Yeah. So I love someone named East Forest.
Okay.
Musically, just check him out.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Right.
Really great. But also like I love like Krishna Das, which is like bhakti yoga. He's like a chanting guy. And then, I'll sneak in some electronic music records when I can. Like there's a Jamie Woon Night Air Ramadan Man edit that's like so beautiful for a yoga class. So I sneak those in. I sneak them in.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds
And
like
I've
a
made
cool
a couple
project.
house records that like have like yoga influences. So, I've dabbled in that. Like Follow the Sun and Sri Ram are definitely like my yoga tracks.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Overdrive?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's kind of a cool cause and thing to talk about.
Right. So the shirt I'm wearing, I have cat hair on it. I have 3 cats. Shout out to my cats. I love this brand. They are promoting healthy partying and safe partying. So like they make drug test kits. They have really cool gear. So I'm like super into them. So shout out to Overdrive. That's what my shirt's about.
Nice.
You could check them out.
And there was another organization I think that you had done, right? Wasn't there something else I saw? I could be mistaken.
Oh, well, like my organization that I like my side hustle, the Divine Movement or
Divine Movement,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. I was like, wait a minute. There's a couple organizations.
Yeah, there are a couple. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was trying to figure out which. I know there's a few
So,
things up there.
The Divine Movement is really cool. I do. Okay, so I run the Divine Movement with my partner Tim, and he also has a podcast network, the Third Thing Network. Check them out. I make all the podcasts for that,
Okay, dope.
so you can hear some funny stuff about consciousness or just comedy or whatever. There's like a bunch of podcasts, but anyway, the Divine Movement is kind of fusing yoga, music, wellness together. We've done really cool like. Before like the nightclub opens, we'll like do yoga in the club,
Sick.
or it'll sometimes be like at a yoga studio, or sometimes it'll be at a festival. And we have some funny stories about the Divine Movement. Tim tends to lead the meditations, and I teach the yoga. And teaching yoga at festivals pretty awesome.
yeah.
like one time, this is a true story. We were at Hardfest. And we got booked I was DJing Hardfest, but then we got booked to do the yoga and meditation in the campgrounds, which was really cool. And this guy's doing Tim's meditation, and he's laying there for like a good solid 15 minutes being guided through the meditation, and he just pops up, shotguns a beer, and like lays back down. I swear it was the funniest thing, but like stuff like that, like cool. Those are our people. You
Yeah.
shotgun a beer and you're doing meditation. It's all good,
Nice.
So yeah.
So yeah, a lot of exciting things coming up for you. I guess you're tapping into your D&B lane. It seems like you've got pretty consistent bookings coming up. You
Yeah.
mentioned a festival. I'm sure there's anything else you want to mention in the future down the line
absolutely.
that you're excited about.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely getting back in there in terms of the festival circuit and the music world, but I am really. I'm kind of like the assistant to Miha's record label right now, Never Be Alone, which
nice.
is like a community-driven I can't even explain how awesome it is. Like, basically, she gives 90% to the artist royalty wise, which
wow.
is huge.
Yeah.
And then anybody can submit their demos, and then our group chat votes on it.
No, that's
So
cool.
it's like it was founded based on like, hey, send me your rejected demos. I want to hear them.
Nice.
And so that's a lot of the like I had 2 releases on there that are like, you know, techno and like tech house, and then the release that's coming out, NBA, is on Friday. That's my drum and bass record. Past guest of yours, we originally played that song for the first time on the subway in New York with Crispy. We did like a renegade in the subway, like just like
Epic.
it was amazing. So yeah, you can catch me DJing everywhere, but really just listen to my music or just hit me up.
Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you so they can catch up on your dates
Yeah.
and music and everything, find you on social media?
I got to tell you, I'm most active on Instagram, like
All right.
at DJ Gina Turner. All of my dates and my music should be on there.
Perfect.
And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Well, we're so glad you were able to join us today. Thank you very much for joining us for Groove City.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out her set. It's going to be the link right below. We're super excited
Very
to hear
excited
what
to
you're...
hear your set.
Wait, I'm playing all my own music.
Oh, nice.
Let's go. Even more.
Perfect.
So I that's a really like life goal unlocked. Let's see if I can stick to it, because sometimes I'll throw in an extra song.
Yeah, you know, you got to be in the moment, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're super stoked to check it out.
Oh, thank you.
Quick shout out to Sound Collective for letting us film here. You guys can get a membership, utilize all the beautiful gear in this building. You can also take classes online. Thank you again for coming on with us. I'm Ricky.
And I'm Lefty. Peace.
Peace.